here whispering some more. That's right, we're back, baby, with a whispering episode. Gonna keep it low and quiet throughout this episode. A little ASMR for you. Now, I know that it seems like, oh, he's just he's just copying the same episode he did before, and you're exactly right. I think that this one's a lot more soothing, and it's a lot more, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot more people will listen to this in the night time, so my night owls, wherever you are, you know what I mean? This one's for you. And for people who are having trouble sleeping, well, you put this on for a little bit and it kind of relaxes you some more, you know what I mean? Even though ASMR is completely available, but I feel like sometimes, you know, not that they don't do it wrong, it's just, well, they're ASMR artists, you know what I mean? They get it a lot better than I do, but, you know, still, my point is that, like, this one's just supposed to be chill, relaxing, and that's what matters from here on out. You know, making it as quiet and as nice for you, the listener. It's really for you. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I've been really like stuck, kind of like listening to a bunch of songs like really on high blast with my headphones and stuff, and I thought to myself, I was like, man, I felt like I was doing a lot of like damage to my ears. So I was like, you know what people need now is just a little bit more quiet, just a little bit more whispering, just a little bit more of like softer and smoother ways of doing stuff, you know what I mean? I was blasting a bunch of heavy rock into my headphones. I was really going crazy on it, and after a while I was like, yeah, I definitely did some damage to my hearing. But hey, that's the way it goes, you know what I mean? So sooner or later I'll have my hearing aids, I guess. But it's, you know what I don't get is those people that go to concerts like regularly, like your ears are going to be destroyed. It just feels like every time you do that, or every time that you make that decision of like, I'm gonna go to this concert and then this festival and then this event and then this and then that, it's like, get it, it's crazy how many people go to like those shows and they're like not wearing any ear protection, you know what I mean? They're not doing anything like that, so it's just difficult, I guess. I don't know. To each their own. Not to say that like you're doing a bad thing because you do that. I'm just saying it's like, you know, I don't think my ears could take it all the way through. You know, a concert every now and then, you know what I mean? You'll be fine, but constantly, you know, like those cruises where you're like on the cruise and they're just blasting music like day and night. Like, that's the stuff that is like, that's gonna catch up to you, you know. But I get it, you know what I mean? Have fun, do what you can, enjoy the trip or whatnot. So anyways, what are some more like quiet things that you can think about? The wind. You ever feel like the wind is just like, it's somehow timed perfectly? Like sometimes you get a gust of wind that's just like perfect breeze, you know? I think that more and more often you start to notice the subtlety in like the life around you. You know what I'm saying? You start to notice like spiders or like flies a lot more, you know what I mean? I remember I watched that movie Ray with Jamie Foxx, because there was that meme going around of like him like choking, or like him on the bed and he's like coughing or whatnot. He's like, you know, deeply disturbed and troubled, and he's like getting out of bed and then running over to the kitchen or whatever, or the bathroom or whatnot, you know what I mean, because he's about to throw up, or I don't know. But he was Jamie Foxx was preparing for the role of Ray. And I think I remember he was talking about how they would like glue his eyelids shut temporarily for like the filming of the movie, so that way he wasn't like, he couldn't see. Like his eyes were closed the whole time during production, and he had them glued shut so that way he wouldn't like open them and people could see that, like, I don't know, his eyelids are like, you can tell that like they weren't actually blind. So he would do that, and then what's it called? He would do that during filming. And then I think the director came up to him, or like somebody was talking to him about like the scene or whatnot. And because his eyes were closed for so long, like through so many hours of the day during production, he was kind of like, yeah, but can't we stop with the pencil tapping? Or like, I can hear a pencil tapping. Like, you know, can we quiet that down a bit? And they didn't even notice it. Like everybody else didn't notice that. Like, I guess one of the other assistants, or you know, somebody else on the set was like tapping a pencil on a table or like a piece of paper or whatever, and they were like, oh snap, like you could hear that and stuff like that. So like all of his other senses were kind of in reality kind of heightened, not like Daredevil, but more like in a, you know, you can hear a lot more things a lot clearer. And then in the movie, Ray Charles, it's like he talks, I think it was in the movie, maybe it was other Jamie Foxx like Revelation or whatever, but I think he was talking about how he could hear a hummingbird outside the window. And then I think the girl he was with at like in the scene or whatever, she could kind of hear it too. And those are the little subtleties I'm talking about, the little things that we miss out or we don't pick up on, you know. It's different than hearing like louder noises, like a bird chirp, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like if you live in New York City, it's easy to like miss out on some of the smaller sounds because the city is so loud so many times throughout the day. You got cars, you got people, you got footsteps. So it's a lot more understandable to kind of like, oh, I didn't hear that, or I don't pay attention to that, or, you know, the city's not as quiet here as it is over there and stuff like that, you know. I don't know, I think that when you start to focus on the smaller sounds or the little noises that happen around you, you start to appreciate it just a little bit more. Like the little trickle of water in like a river or whatever. I think about how I like to think about like the times before like any of us were around and the animals just got to be animals, you know? And they were just like roaming around, and they could just like, the sound of nature was their music, you know? The birds chirping were their music, the sound of the water was like, you know, that was music. Raindrops, you know, the wind, it was all something for them to hear and listen to, you know what I mean? It's not as good as what we make, you know what I mean? Obviously we make better music, but like they had like that quietness, you know what I mean? That peace around them of like, this is what nature sounds like all the time, you know, undisturbed by us humans, you know. So I don't know, it's really cool. And the more and more you think about like when people started like coming up with songs, or when people were like inventing different ideas or different sounds and whatnot, it was really kind of like, I don't know what the right word is. I feel like when you're the first to do something, or like when you're the starting person at something, like okay, everybody gives like classical music like, oh my gosh, it was amazing, but it's like, yeah, because they were there in a time when nothing else was invented, like us now. It's like everybody who makes music, it's like, oh, you're copying somebody else here, or you're copying somebody else there. It's like, so you never really get any like original idea So the only original people were back in the day. You know what I mean? It's like you're a failure by your generation. You know what I'm saying? You're a failure by being associated to like your time period, you know? If you're born later on in life, then everybody else has already invented everything before you, and you don't really get an opportunity or a chance to be like progression, like you know, because we've gotten so good at certain things, nobody gets to be a genius at them. They just get to be like good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like people, like this may seem basic, but like reading and writing, right? Like there was a time when people like didn't really know how to read or write, or the concept was just being made or invented, you know what I mean? And as it's progressed throughout the years, we obviously have the languages and the language arts that we have now, and the reading skills, the comprehension skills, the writing skills, and the tools and the grammar to like put words together in sentences and paragraphs and pages and stuff, right? But no, what I'm trying to get at here is that like back in the day, like way back, it was like if you could read and write, you were smart, you were gifted, you were capable of great and intelligent things. Now if you can read and write, because the generation has obviously gotten smarter and we've adapted and gotten better and better and better across all kids and students and adults, is like everybody's gotten better at reading and writing, that it's like, hey, you're not smart, you're just able to do what everybody else is able to do. And that's the difference, is that like back in the day it used to be a gift. It used to be like, you're so smart for learning how to read and to write and to talk proper English. Now it's just kind of like it's expected, you know? And the same thing I feel like with a lot of different fields now, as we continue to progress and as we continue to get better, there's not going to be any one person that's like, oh snap, you're really gifted at this one thing, or like you're really smart at doing this or that. It's like, no, you're just like, you're just regular, you know what I mean? So there really are people out there who are prodigies, or who are really gifted or really good at something, but it's just like not possible anymore, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but they're seen as just good. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that makes like perfect 100% sense, but that's just what I get to thinking about sometimes. And you often think about like, you know, if I knew what I knew now and was thrown into the past, I would be like, I could do so many different things, you know what I'm saying? It's just that, you know, I don't know, I feel like the difficulty of being a product of your time is that like, you're always gonna feel like you're behind, or you're always gonna feel like, man, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or who I'm supposed to be, or doing what I'm supposed to do, I guess, you know? I'm sure there are people that felt like that throughout history. It's nothing new. No new feelings exist, right? Everybody's documented or talked about it or analyzed it, you know? And in this digital age, it's like there's so many different experiences people live or have or show off, I guess. And it's hard to I guess it's really hard for people to distinguish like the differences between, you know, people who are actually like recording and documenting their lives and like are feeling accomplished by it, or people that are like not any of that, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. What about the sound of the beach? Oh, that's got to be a good feeling. you ever think about, like, what if, like, what if fish sing to each other? Well, I know dolphins, they communicate, or, like, they have different ways of, like, talking to each other, but, like, I guess I'm more so thinking of, like, regular salmon fish or whatever. Like, you ever think that they, like, sing to each other, like, communicate? I think that'd be pretty funny if they, like, had some sort of secret communication in the water that we can't, like, analyze or study. So we just think that, like, they don't do anything, but they really do. I guess it would be more so telepathy, huh? I don't know. I also think about, like, what if I was the size of an ant? You know what I mean? Like, I think that Ant-Man's abilities is, like, really, really fun. Like, I really like the ability to, like, shrink down to size, and, like, being able to, like, take in different things. Like in Ant-Man and the Wasp, they shrunk down their car and had, like, a drive-in movie theater by, like, watching a movie on the laptop. Like, that's so fun. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, that's what life is. That's the kind of stuff I want to do, you know what I mean? You could make life so much crazier, so fun if we were able to shrink ourselves. And then there was that movie, I forget what it's called. It was some movie where, like, they actually did shrink people down and stuff, and they, like, had a community and were living life that way. But, you know, I don't know. I just think that's kind of like a fun way to live, is that, like, you know, you eat a portion of the food that you actually make. Although the danger increases tenfold. You know what I mean? The danger of, like, bugs and rats, rodents, and other larger animals that are out there. It's, like, damn near impossible to live, like, the kind of life that you... to live, like, a small, tiny life, you know what I mean? Because nature doesn't respond in kind, you know? So even if you were to, like, shrink down to size, ants would be, like, just as big, if not bigger than you. And then dogs, and then cats, and then rats, and then a whole bunch of other problems start to appear. And so it's, like, literally impossible to, like, fight back. Well, I guess we could fight back. I guess we could make, like, mini guns to fight them. But, like, I don't know. I don't even want to think about, like, the logistics of that, you know? That'd be kind of funny, though, is that, like, you shrink yourself down and then you have to, like, start an army of, like, you know, many people. Of, like, an army of, like, shrunken people. And you have to, like, fight bugs on a constant day-to-day basis in order to deal with them. And it's, like, it takes, like, a whole, like, rocket launcher and explosives to defeat them. Meanwhile, to somebody else, it's like firecrackers, or it's like those popping things that you, like, throw on the ground, you know, just like a small little, like, you know, little, like, pop. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, it also makes me think about that episode of Phineas and Ferb where Baljeet is, like, shrunk and really small, and he's, like, stuck underneath the AC, and he's like, I'm so cold, what can I do? And, like, right next to him is a dead fly or whatever, and he's like, I have to survive. And he goes into the fly, right? He goes into the fly, he cuts open the fly, and he, like, hides inside of it because the warmth of the fly's intestines and guts will keep him warm long enough for, like, Phineas and Ferb to come over and get him. And then they come over and they're like, where's Baljeet? And then Baljeet comes out of the fly, and he's like, Bleh. And everybody's like, oh, ew. And Baljeet's like, I did what I had to do to survive. You know, those are the kind of inconveniences that, you know, they don't teach you about in life, you know what I'm saying? don't know, I think it'd be kind of fun. I think it'd be kind of fun to shrink down, you know what I mean? Obviously not forever, but like for certain events, you know what I mean? Like, that would be the best idea ever. It's like, you come over here, you get shrunken down, and then we do like a concert, you know what I mean? And we can fit like hundreds of thousands of people in there, and everybody can listen in on it, you know what I mean? I don't know. But that's the idea, or like that's how it would work, I guess. So, I don't know, I kind of like that idea, but just don't have the technology, and we don't even know if there would be a way to transform us back, so kind of pointless, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, speaking of that ball sheet thing where he like cuts open the fly, I've only seen that done one other time in a movie that I have not reviewed or talked about yet. It's called The Revenant. Great movie. Spoilers for The Revenant if you have not seen it. I'm spoiling it right now, but I might go back and rewatch that movie, The Revenant, for this podcast maybe. But there was a moment where, okay, spoilers for The Revenant. Again, I'm going to spoil the movie here, okay? But Leonardo DiCaprio's character is like riding a horse, and he runs the horse off the cliff, and the horse dies. It like breaks its legs, and it like completely dies with Leonardo DiCaprio on top of it. And I was like, what the heck? And so the horse dies, right? And Leo cuts open the horse and then gets naked and then sleeps inside the horse he just killed. And I was like, oh, poor horsey. But obviously you need to see Leonardo DiCaprio survives to do what he needs to do later on in the film. But my point is that, like, that's so, I felt so bad for the horse. I was like, no, horsey, you know, bothered me so much. That movie gets you like claustrophobic quick, you know what I mean? Not that specific scene, but other stuff, but whatever. My point being is that, like, you know, shrinking down or fighting animals is no way to go. It's no way to live, you know what I'm saying? So you just don't want that for yourself. But anyways, I don't know. I think that when it comes to keeping things quiet, keeping things like, I remember I used to, at school, my teachers would sometimes call you over to their desks when you're like doing reading time, or maybe there's a test being taken or some sort of like writing assignment done, and the whole class is kind of quiet, and the teacher doesn't want to disturb like the noise level or like have everybody hear what you're discussing. So the teacher will call you over and talk to you about like something about your schoolwork or your classwork or whatnot, and you'll be talking to each other and she'll be real quiet. I remember very distinctly, my teacher called me over to her desk. I went over to her and she was like whispering the same way I'm whispering to you, and I was able to hear her and understand her, and I felt so calm. I felt like, wow, I feel really sleepy, you know. It was soothing to me, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. And you know, all of those little moments that like you can remember, I guess it takes you back to like to when you were like a baby and your parents would like cuddle you or take care of you and whisper to you, you know what I mean? Talk to you and make you feel so loved and comforted and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that that's really that matters, you know, and sometimes it like comes back and you like have this weird connection to stuff that you don't really remember or think about, but you have it, so it's like, oh yeah, that is weird, or like that is something about what I'm doing or what I've done that like, oh, that makes sense why I like it, or why you feel like a certain attachment towards it, I guess. So maybe that's why I like ASMR, like whispering stuff, because like I like the soothingness of it, because it reminds me I was a baby and my mom used to do it, or my dad, or whoever, you know, just really nice and calm and smooth and stuff like that. So, you know, it's interesting, and it's nice. But you know, I think that maybe there are a lot of subconscious or unconscious things that like just from our memories that we like have forgotten, and it only takes like the smallest thing to remind us, you know, the smallest things to make us wake up and realize that like, man, like I remember that, or this thing reminded me of that, or whatever, you know. And that's what makes like memory so interesting, is that like we have so much. We really, all humans have like so much stored in their memories, but it feels like as time passes we lose a little bit more and more and more of it. We just need like help accessing the life that we've lived. And that's why I kind of like that movie, Meet the Robinsons, where he's like able to create that memory machine that like lets you see your memories and stuff. I always thought that like a machine like that was really like cool or important, or like having a memory like that would be so kind of necessary, I guess, or like it would really help to like bring people back to their best memories or moments that they can remember, you know. That's what I think. I think that'd be really sweet and kind, and I mean, I don't know how much it would like cost to get a machine like that, or it even make something like that, but my point still stands. It would be really sweet and nice to have something like that that allows you to see your life, you know, visually played out in front of you. The things that you've seen, the things that you've heard, the things that you like could feel, you know. If you could bring all of that back, it would be really, really nice. So maybe there is a way to like recapture it or re-feel it, you know, but I guess it just makes you want to appreciate the moment just that much more, you know. Yeah. Well, other than that, I think that a nice whisper can be also very kind and intimate, and it really like adds to your connection with somebody, you know. Sometimes when you like get really whispery with somebody, it's like sometimes it could be a secret, you know what I mean? You want to keep it on the low, but then other times it's like, no, I'm gonna let you in and we're gonna talk about this thing or something together, you know. I don't know. I just I don't know. I think that it's just like being up close and feeling like you can feel somebody, like feel somebody's words or feel somebody's voice, you know, right up close to you. It's very sensitive and intimate and romantic to it, you know. But I guess you take what you want from it, you know. And when you're whispering some more, keep it nice and low and quiet as best as you can, and don't try to ruin the mood, I guess, or disturb like people around you, I guess, you know. I guess that's what it's all about, is keeping a low volume and making sure that you're able to get your message across clearly, no matter how loud or how quiet your voice is, you know. So anyways, I hope you guys all liked this episode. I might do some more of this. I kind of like doing this, so let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you for listening.